place to place. Good morning, good morning, morning, good morning, morning.
Viewers, and welcome to the Tobago Updates morning show, coming to you here live from the Port Mall in Scarborough, Tobago. As we certainly take the opportunity to warmly welcome you here on this Thursday morning. As we continue to give God thanks for life, I am Julian Skeet.
And I am Rhea Richardson George, and this is the day that the Lord has made, and we will rejoice and be glad in it. Good morning to Tobago. Good morning, Trinidad, those of you viewing in the Caribbean, and those of you on the live. Good morning to you. Julian Skeet, how have you been?
Not that good at all, but we're living by the good graces of the Almighty God, and we have to be grateful for life, even in the midst of many challenges, some internal, some external.
Yes.
But we've got to be grateful for life.
And we thank God, continue to thank God for life, as you said.
Yes, most definitely. But today is a green day for me. Today is a green day for me. I looked for the brightest green shirt I could find. Shout out this morning to Lavian, saying, yes, we've got to have that very bright one. It's sports day, Rhea. It's sports. It's sports. And, you know, my daughter is in the greenhouse at Signal Hill. So, you know, Principal Devines and the whole team will be out today in full force, you know, really engaging our students. For some, it's going to be quite competitive. For some, it's just going to be about having a good time in terms of sports day and so on. But certainly looking forward to the activities. And in that spirit of, you know, following as a good parent, I said, no problem at all, I shall comply. I am out in my green today in support of the greenhouse up there.
That's right, and that is the Signal Hill Government Primary School.
Yes.
That is still very near and dear to my heart. My children went there, my nephew. Out of the Richardson grandchildren, only one grandchild so far has gone off.
Yes.
To another school.
Yes, certainly a very good lineup. I want to wish them a very safe and enjoyable day today out there with the school, sports, and the family day. You know, you long for days like these because it's been so long in the mix coming out, and you still have to remind yourself, yes, we're out of a pandemic.
Yes.
Yes, our students and our children can begin to enjoy what is that very important social element in life with their interactions.
So is it that this is the first sports meet for the school?
As far as I can recall, because to be very honest with you, the school has so many activities to engage students, to engage parents, to engage teachers. I recall the team drive-bys, competitive, you know, in terms of the vehicle going from site to site and so on, as part of the treasure hunt and activities. But if it's one thing you can be sure about, Principal Devines and her team ensures that holistic family life. So it's not just about the student, but also seeking to ensure that the level of support is there, which is excellent because I've seen that there at Signal Hill. I've also seen the benefit of that at the Methodist schools and a number of other institutions. And that's something that we've got to keep alive for obvious reasons, because whether you believe it or not, this connects to the further circumstances in society. If we bring up our students, if we bring up our children in the right way, the combination of home, the combination of school, the responsibility of the community, the risk is a lot less in terms of them going off into a negative lifestyle because it appears to be more attractive. So we have got to provide that, continue to provide that level of support for them. I don't think it's just that when they get older, we try to school them and to guide them. No. We've got to do it from very early so that they get that sense of you've always been there for more, or as I like to say, even if it isn't a parent, it is a family member, it may be somebody at school, somebody at church. Young people generally only need at least one to believe in them,
That's
at least
right.
one
That's
to believe
right.
in them and to take them along the journey. So even where we have parents that are not upholding that responsibility, you recognize that you have a greater responsibility to provide that support. Might be the child coming over, visiting with your child, and you recognize the family support isn't the same in their home. Be that child's keeper and try to lend the kind of support required, because that's how we're going to help our community in terms of building to taking it to where we need it to go.
Most definitely. Julian, I feel as though I should say amen at this point.
Yes, and we look forward to that. And you know, I make the plug all the time. Men, we have a responsibility just as much. It's not just about the mothers taking on their responsibility, which probably 80 to 90% of the times. the mothers do, but it's also about, as men in our community, we also have a responsibility to play in terms of taking on that role. And I tell my colleagues, my partners know it without a shadow of a doubt, but I'm no foolishness, but you and the mother don't get along. I do not care if you and the mother get along. I do not care if things did or did not work out. Understand that you now have a responsibility to a younger one in the circumstances, and I'm very straight when it comes to that. All right, viewers, at this point, we head on over to news in 90 seconds.
Thank you so much, Julian and Ria. And here is your news in 90 seconds for Thursday, the 18th of May. Chief Secretary Farley Augustine announced plans to drive the quest for autonomy forward in 1 month. Augustine spoke at Tuesday THA's town hall meeting in Mount St. George. Several residents raised the matter of autonomy for Tobago during their contributions. Questioning the Chief Secretary on its status, Augustine responded by promising action in 1 month. He said that he did not want to reveal exactly what they planned to do, but he explained that the action would be forceful and effective. Augustine also expressed frustration with the current arrangement between the THA and central government, which prevents the Executive Council from executing many tasks they believe will benefit Tobago. Additionally, former Police Commissioner Gary Griffith has lost a case he filed against the Trinidad and Tobago Express newspaper in October 2020 for 3 articles it published about the granting of firearm licenses by him when he was top cop. Justice Jacqueline Wilson, in the 32-page ruling on Tuesday, upheld the defense of the Reynolds privilege, argued by attorneys for the Express. She explained that it protects publications that are in the public interest and where the publisher acted responsibly. Griffith was ordered to pay the legal fees incurred by the Express newspaper for this court proceedings. And finally, opposition leader Kamala Persad-Bissessar promised to make gun ownership easier for law-abiding citizens. She criticized the government for pursuing a foolish attack on legal firearm holders when its members are protected with armed security. Commenting on the worrying state of crime in the country, Persad-Bissessar said that it appears as though the government does not want to give citizens the right to protect themselves. She said social status, race, and economic circumstances should not prevent citizens from applying for firearms. And that was your news in 90 seconds. Back to you, Julian and Ria.
Thank you very much there, Chanel. Your thoughts are very interesting coming out of the news there. Your thoughts when we speak about the issue of firearms and so on.
I go back to a previous interview with said former commissioner, and I'm going to leave it right there. It went in a different direction. However, the issue is still on the table.
And it appears to be a very serious one at this point in terms of, what's out there in the landscape. Is this part of the long-term impact that we're having here based on having more firearms available on the outside? One has to ask the question. I'm very interesting at that, because how do you bring that balance between granting your firearms license to protect yourself, protect your family, protect your property, and at the same time ensuring that firearm doesn't get into the wrong hands?
Rightly so, Julian, rightly so.
Kind of toss-up happening here in Trinidad and Tobago. All right, viewers, at this point, we prepare to head on over to our birthday shout-outs for today.
This is your birthday shout-outs on Tobago Updates, sponsored by KFC.
All right, and we get started there today. A very good friend and classmate out there, Melissa Phillips, wishing you a happy birthday and God's continued blessings, Melissa.
My very good friend and classmate, Mr. Marlon Calendar, celebrating her birthday. So all the best to you, Marlon.
Fondly known as MC.
That's right. Have a great one.
All right, birthday shout-outs going out to Dominique Morrison. Dominique, wishing you a happy birthday and continued blessings.
And this is no strange face to us. This is Dwayne Lyons celebrating a birthday. So happy birthday going out to you, Dwayne Lyons, and lots of love from all of us here at Tobago Updates.
Yes, on screen, Trisha Guy, certainly standing out there in pink and wishing you a happy birthday. Happy birthday, Trisha, and God's continued blessings.
And this is Minister Anne-Marie James Henry, a daughter of the soil of Signal Hill, Tobago, living abroad. Happy birthday going out to you this morning. And she's known as Auntie AJ. So love going out to you from all of us here in Tobago and at Tobago Updates.
Birthday shoutouts on Tobago Updates, sponsored by KFC.
From the experts that created the Zinger sandwich comes the KFC Crispy Barbecue Zinger.
The only one I see is you.
Cheddar cheese, crispy onions, the most delicious Kentucky Fried Chicken, and barbecue sauce. Get ready for a whole new level of flavor.
All right, thank you very much there. Our birthday shout-outs courtesy KFC. All right, viewers, on the rundown this morning, we get started coming up in the lineup here. We have up next Assemblyman Megan Morrison, Assistant Secretary in the Division of Tourism, Culture, Antiquities, and Transportation. And she's also the area representative for Goodwood and Mount St. George. And this morning we're speaking Goodwood, Mount St. George District Town Hall meeting synopsis, and there she is on screen. She will be connecting with us as we have conversations coming out of the recent town hall meetings being hosted by the Tobago House of Assembly. This morning we will also be chatting with Melissa Yearwood Jack, Community Outreach Program Officer of TEAM, as we speak National Disaster Prevention and Preparedness Month. Rhea, who else do we have on the rundown this morning?
Well, we are going to be wrapping things up this morning, chatting with our Tobago's very own owner, designer of Precision Cuts Tailoring. And I'm really happy to be doing this interview with Andrew Smith, a son of the soil, really talented and doing what he does out there and putting men and women, but I'm saying here, when he puts a man out in a suit,
Certainly.
It's a suit for life.
So we look forward to that, those discussions happening this morning. Rhea, I see you got some students to celebrate in the mix.
Yes, I do. Now, the thing is, I did celebrate most of these students on Monday. However, I got a call yesterday when I realized, and then I realized that I missed one that I'm supposed to know, but I blame it on her parents. I'm going to blame it on her parents. Her mother contacted me. Now, this is Petal Young Walker, and I'm sure you might know Petal.
Yes.
Right? Now, Petal is branded as my daughter, one of my daughters. My husband has taken her on as his daughter. He taught her many years ago when he taught at Bishop's High School, and she was one of his students there, and the relationship continued even after she left school, got married, had children. Now, Petal has crept these grandchildren away from us, so I did not even recognize the name nor the face when I saw it on the information that we received. And this is with regards to the Reading is Key to Success competition that was held quite recently. And I did call the name, not realizing that it was my granddaughter. So I just wanted to mention her this morning. And this is Ronique Walker. Ronique won the prize for artwork demonstrating critical thought. And this is Ronique Walker, and she won a $250 voucher from Penny Savers Canaan. So I want to recognize Ronique this morning. Ronique, congratulations. If we could pull that picture up again, that's right. And Ronique,
RC, yes.
Scarborough RC, and I want to believe Ronique is that pretty little girl, far right, just standing next to the young man with the glasses in the second row. Is that the second? Yeah.
Rhea, what?
Second row from back.
What's left for you to say is to song like them old people? You know, oh God, the child get big son, even know what the child look like now. So unless you put yourself in any further trouble. Yes, Ronique is in the photo there. And this morning, really, really doing excellent. And a word going out to Petal and the team. Please get the child to Auntie Rhea and Uncle Oswald as soon as possible. I see my colleague also in the mix there, Dr. Renee, Alfred, and the entire team And when I see things like these, folks, it's so important to continue to highlight and to recognize our children and young people. Let us see them on screen for positive things and not just when challenges are faced within our society. So kudos and congratulations going out there once again to all our children and young people in the mix there. Don't worry, Auntie Ria, you're going to get them. You're going to get them. I'm going to leave it there. All right, viewers, we want to thank you so much. Yes, folks, it's a green kind of day in full support out there. Greenhouse, Signal Hill. Full support out there today. It's a green kind of day here on the Tobago Updates morning show. I'm saying that, I'm talking Greenhouse, Signal Hill, and then I'm saying, oh my gosh, people might look on and all they hear is a green day and they think politics. Forget it all, folks. We're speaking a green day, yes, and I am all here, all in support. Signal Hill Primary, as we speak to our students heading on out the greenhouse today, supporting, providing full support out there. Viewers, we want to thank you so much for continuing to connect with the Tobago Updates morning show. As you continue to choose the Tobago Updates morning show, we say thank you. We pause to say thank you. And to each and every one of you, those connecting via TV, those of you connecting in on the radio, listening in on your way to the office and wherever you may be heading at this time. And those of you tuned in on your devices, we want to say thank you so much. And to remind you that this is your opportunity to share the live, share the live, share the live.
One of the major learning curves encountered during the COVID-19 pandemic was the increased use of innovation and technology to conduct daily functions. This major hurdle affected the country's education sector tremendously, with teachers, students, and parents having to quickly find ways to continue teaching and learning using these means. Post-pandemic, the Division of Education, Research and Technology is finding ways to integrate online and in-person learning and teaching, thus establishing the Hybrid Education Committee.
A committee was put together, made up of persons within the Division of Education, principals, parents, etc., a large, varied stakeholder group, and we are working towards developing a very pragmatic policy guideline to help us to utilize all of the positive things that we got through the pandemic, along with our face-to-face.
This new initiative seeks to reduce teaching and learning loss due to several factors, such as unpredictable weather patterns or another pandemic situation. From early childhood to tertiary level education are represented on the committee with multi-departmental input and expertise from the division. Technical advisor from DIRTEC, Natasha Second, assured that this initiative is not just another talk shop, and the committee is well on its way to fulfill a seamless integration among all educational institutions on the island.
We wanted to look at all of the challenges and place a solution for each of them. So the guideline or the policy guidelines will meet all of the challenges that we could perceive of.
Ms. Second revealed that the committee, formed in April 2023, has a 6-month implementation deadline, which will include a pilot project in selected schools and the delivery of the completed policy and guidelines.
Are you looking for a place for your loved ones? Heavenly Care welcomes you. Located at Northside Road opposite Massey Motors, we offer a variety of services. These include doctor visitations, social activities, geriatric care, and much more. Contact us at 277-9595 or visit us at Northside Road opposite Massey Motors. At Heavenly Care, compassion is at the heart of all care.
Everybody only worrying.
Never ever worry, don't mind how things looking hard. I tell them never ever worry, if your life can't get damaged bad. I tell them never ever worry, what I'm saying is true. So just consider, Tatil is always right here for you. I tell them never ever worry, don't mind if life make you sad. I tell them never ever worry, if your house get flooded out real bad. I tell them never ever worry, what I'm saying is true. So just consider, Tatil is always right here for you. I tell them never ever worry, if sickness catch you off guard. I tell them never ever worry, if times fall on you real hard. I tell them never ever worry, what I'm saying is true. So just consider, Tatil will always be here for you.
Never worry about a thing. Tatil, where people are people. You know what I mean.
Put a smile on your face when you're moving from place to place. Good morning. Good morning.
Viewers, welcome back this morning to the Tobago Updates Morning Show. We're chatting this morning with Assemblyman Megan Morrison, the Assistant Secretary for the Division of Tourism, Culture, Antiquities and Transportation. Now, this morning we're on the program. She's on the program to chat about the Goodwood Mount St. George District's Town Hall meeting synopsis. She'll give us an idea of how the meeting went, what took place, some of the areas of concern for the residents and community members. Good morning and welcome to you, Ms. Morrison.
Oh, good morning and good morning, Tobago. A special good morning to my electoral district of Mount St. George Goodwood, which comprises the villages of Bacalet Park, John Dial, Hope, Mount St. George Goodwood, and a small piece of Goldsboro.
All right. And I'm sure they're excited to hear what you've got to say this morning. Now, quite recently, in fact, just about 2 days or so ago, the Goodwood Mount St. George held their district town hall meeting, and this is an initiative by the Assembly, and so this was their time around. How would you rate that meeting that took place a couple of days ago?
I think we had a very good meeting. It was balanced. Some people brought forward concerns. Some also highlighted the wins in terms of accomplishments in the district. So I think it was a balanced meeting.
All right. Now, amongst the discussions and the conversation, they spoke about the roads within the electoral district. They spoke about agriculture. They spoke about that pavilion at Goodwood, and that seemed to have been a major issue. Coming out from the meeting, what would you say were the priority areas for the community and residents?
Well, the Goodwood area is one. Definitely the pavilion, because it has been long outstanding, and apart from that, work has stopped. So, of course, the residents will be concerned as to when they will get their pavilion, when they will get their field, because we have young people that have not had the use of a field for quite some time, which, gives way to other activities, to find ways to those extra energies when you can't burn them off on the field. Who knows what you tend to get into? So that was a major concern. My district is probably the agricultural hub of the island, that Goldsboro area, Pig Farm Road. So water has been a issue there for some time. Of course, the distribution of lands for agricultural purposes, because we have some people who already have lands that are not utilized. How do you treat with that? So that is one of the concerns. Infrastructure work. My district have been neglected for some time, and dare say the entire Tobago have been neglected for some time. So we have walls to be built. We have roads that are in disrepair. For a number of years, we have not made 2 years in office as yet. And of course, with the financial constraints and so on, we cannot do all that in this short space of time. So there is always that need and that cry for the infrastructural development.
Okay, so in terms of the time that we do have now, because you're in office, what, 2.5?
No, a year and
it seems so much longer.
And 5 months, thereabouts.
A year and 5 months. What can the electoral district expect from you now? Because I traverse that road every day, morning and evening, and I look at the roads, I look at the drains, I look at the sidewalk. There were no sidewalks in place. Pavement, we call it here in the Caribbean, but it's a sidewalk. I look at children walking to school, having to walk and look back at oncoming traffic. You as a parent, you are concerned about your child making it safely to school, getting there, safely, because there are no proper sidewalks, and this is the way life has been ever since. But what can they expect in terms of the roads, the job opportunities, agriculture, not just the pavilion, but what can they expect within as one of the low-hanging fruits?
Well, I'm glad you said low-hanging fruits. So recently, some jobs came on board from the Division of Works. So a lot of the young people in the communities are engaged. This morning, I was so happy to pass on the roads and see this young lady shoveling dirt on John Dial stretch there where some development is happening. And to see she's clearing the main road to not have the debris affect traffic, right? So I was happy to see that the young people are engaged to some degree. I can say that no major infrastructural work will happen right away because that requires a special type of funding. But I can see in the short term where some roads will be patched and so on to alleviate some of the potholes in the areas. So Secretary James, looking to you for some support in that area. In terms of the agriculture sector, some lands will be redistributed, right?
You say redistributed?
Yes, because if you have not been using your lands for a number of years that was assigned for agricultural purposes, we will now look at redistributing that lands to young farmers and persons who are interested in the sector. Right, so those are some of the few things that will happen in the short term.
All right, and one of the persons that was at the meeting 2 days ago, Dr. Jimmy Toussaint, I did speak with him, and he did send me a message. He wants the assembly to become more aggressive with WASA. Especially when the roads are dug up, to have them repaired promptly. The countryside road is becoming worse and worse, and it is putting a strain on vehicles when drivers have to pay more for gas, pay more for diesel, and you have
pay more for parts,
and you have to traverse these roads. It is putting a strain on your vehicles. The cost of living has not yet risen. Somebody say amen. There's still no rise in terms of salaries, so the cost of living is high,
right?
But not the
living wage and
not the wages. That's right. My mistake. Not the wages. Our wages have not increased. Some persons are still fighting and struggling to get what belongs to them.
Yes. He has a point, because we have had some struggles with WASA to do immediate repairs. Sometimes the repairs take a really long time. As a matter of fact, in some cases, works have to resort to repairing these roads that WASA should be repairing. Yeah. So he's correct. I think we have to make an extra effort to get WASA to do their due diligence on time and to have us have a sense of relief, because the Division of Works has its work cut out for it on a normal day. Far less if they have to do extra because one of our agencies are falling down on the job.
Now, I know at the end of the day, people are tired of the talk and they want to see action. I know if persons could press a button, they would want to see things happen today for tomorrow.
Which is unfair, but yes, that is how some people see it.
It's been in disrepair for such a long time that they want to see results now.
I understand.
They want to see results now. So like I said, persons are tired of the talk and they want to see results now. Again, what do you say to your community? And I heard some of the comments coming out from the meeting, because I was listening over and over, and some of what the persons on the ground had to say. In your opinion, and I asked this question earlier, what would you say are the immediate, what can you do immediately? Are there any other immediates in terms of the low-hanging fruits, and not just the things that will take the chunk of the money here, but what can be done now to see some results within your electoral district?
So what I can say, my district has been, I would like to say, socially driven. My office always provide food hampers outside of what the THA would do. We have run several social initiatives. We have done computer classes. We have done sewing classes. As a matter of fact, that class graduated this very week from since November they were in classes, and that class ended on March. So we are trying to build capacity. Our district is trying to build capacity. And I dare say some of the other districts, because they have run procurement classes and so on in the various districts, to bring people to the level where they can be self-sufficient, where they can build capacity. Because in doing so, you are enabling a young contractor to now be able to bid for a small job and these kind of stuff. The classes, the sewing classes we held, we hope that at the end of this, that few people from the class will now look at opening a sewing factory. As I said to them, we have 5 schools in our district alone. And if they can cater to those uniforms for those 5 schools, imagine that. And that is just a stepping stone. So that was just an example. So we are trying to build capacity within the people. While we may not have the resources to do infinite stuff, we are working on alleviating some of the plights of the people. Homes, we have done our first, well, not in my district, but on the whole, and that will be replicated across the island. The social housing program, where persons who are desperately in need and at the lower end of the spectrum have a little hope that they can have somewhere to live as a result of the social housing program. So my district had 3 fires within the last couple months this year, and one of the homes will benefit from that social program. One was an elderly lady in Jondal. The site have already been cleared and so on, so she will benefit from that housing program. And this will happen across the island. My district is one of those that earmarked for immediate relief. So, and expect more of that. I can't speak to everything because we just got some revelation at Executive Council yesterday, but you all will hear more from that. That.
Now you spoke about some of the wins. What are some of the wins within the district?
Okay, so my district have its annual book drive, which I started before I took office. And that will continue every year. That brings textbooks and stationaries to the persons in my electoral district, right? So we get a list of the schools in the area, what are the books required from the Division of Education, and we try to, as best as possible, to supply those, to supply those books. It ranges in thousands of dollars. We also have an eye testing program that we also do every year during the vacation period as well. There is also that right, so we have run several courses as well. And we have also, there is a farming community at Hillsborough, that's in Mount St. George, that have been clamoring for the road to be repaired for some time, really some time. And while the road is not repaired as yet, we send some heavy equipment in there to at least make the road a little passable until it can actually be fixed, right? So we have partnered with some community-based organizations, the village councils, the Swift International, where we partnered with them to run some courses and so on. I held soup kitchens in my district as well, both in Goodwood and in Jondal. So it's a lot, right? We had some drains completed that were started under the previous administration. One in particular is Hope. So while we don't have the heavy stuff done as yet, a lot of work have been doing in the background and helping people on an individual basis. And so now I think people are quite happy for that.
All right. I want to thank you this morning for taking the time to be here with us. I know uneasy is the head that wears the crown. And so I know it's not about glamour and glitz, but it's about keeping your feet on the ground and ensuring that the work is done.
Yes, I can agree with that. And I dare say I think I need to be a little bit more present in my district. You know, I like to be fair, but they will see me because, you know, I wear different hats on a day-to-day basis. So, you know, the workload is heavy. I'm not complaining at all. I actually get bored easy. So I like when I'm busy, right? So to the residents, if you may not see me as much as you would like to, I've made a promise to myself that I would make myself more available, even if it's on a Sunday, to try to reach out to persons in my electoral district, probably do a street today, another street another day, and so on, until you touch everyone.
All right, but thank you so much again for chatting with us this morning. Assemblyman Megan Morrison, Assistant Secretary for the Division of Tourism, Culture, Antiquities and Transportation. Viewers, lots more coming up this morning on the Tobago Updates morning show. Julian is going to be joining us back on set as he chats with Melissa Yearwood Jack, Community Outreach Program Officer for TEMA. And the discussion continues on the National Disaster Prevention and Preparedness Month. So share the live, share the live, share the live.
This is how it's gonna go. They better look up and low, 'cause this is your show, and everybody's gonna know. Say it to them once again. They better look up and low. This is your show, and everybody's gonna know. That's how it's gonna go. They better look up below, 'cause this is your show.
The Across the Floor Dance Company presents Emotions, Movement of the Heart dance production on Saturday, May 27th at the Shore Park Complex. Come see dances of all genres. Seating at 6:30 p.m. Show starts promptly at 7 p.m. Tickets are only $100. Children 10 and under pay $50 at the door. Tickets are available at Shore Park Complex box office, or please call 391-2816 for more information. This is an event for the entire family.
Tobago will never be the same. It's coming strong, but it's tired. This little piggy is tired. It's finally here, Tobago. The adult-only comedy that played to sold-out houses across Trinidad is finally in Tobago. One night only. Saturday, June 3rd at 8:30 p.m. at the Shore Park Complex. Tickets available at advertised outlets. Check press and social media for details. Tobago, the Bacchanal Week.
Welcome to L'Image Parfait Day Spa, your urban oasis and wellness center. Our services includes massages, treatments, facials, pedicures, weight management, detox programs, and much more. Call us today at 624-1452 or 720-7474. Trinidad locations and Bonacore, Tobago at 273-7772. Let us treat you like the VIP you are.
This is how it's gonna go. They better look up and low, 'cause this is your show, and everybody's gonna know. Say it to them once again. They better look up and low. This is your show, and everybody's gonna know. That's how it's gonna go. They better look up below, 'cause this is your show.
moving from place to place. Good morning.
Good morning, viewers. It is 7:36 a.m. and welcome back to the Tobago Updates morning show, coming to you here live from the Port Mall in Scarborough, Tobago. Viewers, in this segment, we are chatting with Melissa Yearwood-Jack, Community Outreach Program Officer for TEMA, and we are speaking National Disaster Prevention and Preparedness Month. Good morning to you and welcome.
Good morning. Good morning.
All right, as we get the conversation started this morning, Mel, I know TEMA speaks to responsibilities here for emergency management and so in Tobago. But give us a sense in terms of this joining at the national level for the National Disaster Prevention and Preparedness Month.
Okay. Well, this month we are collaborating with the ODPM to educate the public on how they could be prepared during or before hurricane season starts. As the public knows, the hurricane season begins at June 1st. So we chose May as the National Disaster Prevention and Preparedness Month, to educate the public that what they should do to be prepared in case of a disaster, as well as the rainy season. You know, the rainy season brings all sorts of hazards to Tobago, especially flooding and landslides. So we are trying to educate the people on the things that they should be doing right now to be prepared for that.
Excellent. And my information is that this is being done through an exposition that takes place in this week. So give us some more details, what will be happening, and we're going to see the flyer coming up on screen as well.
We had one exposition already at the Port Mall on the 5th of May. We are having another one at the Sid Gray Sporting Complex tomorrow, Friday 19th. We will be wanting to along with our Tobago stakeholders who at the Expo will be WASA, the TTFS, the TTPS, the Department of Labor, the County Medical Office of Health, I think I'm missing, the Department of Social Services, as well the ODPM will be there as well. They'll be coming down in the morning, as well as TEMA, to educate the public on what they should be doing right now. We're having giveaways, we're having tokens, we're having brochures, so it's going to be an exciting day. So we are encouraging the public to come on by.
And this is the Sid Gray complex on the inside, or it's going to be happening on the outside?
It's at the car park.
All right. So for easy access, folks, if you're passing on by, this is your opportunity. It's 10 a.m. In the morning. Give us a little feel. The time period is from 10 to 3.
Yes.
What can persons expect across the day? Is it that you're expecting persons come spend the day with us, or you're expecting persons to pass through? Just give persons an idea.
We're expecting you all to pass through, visit all our stakeholders. Each of them have exciting information to give. And when you're finished, you can tell a friend to pass through after. You know, you might be able to show off what you won, a little token, and then you'll be excited to come and test our prizes and stuff to see if they could win those exciting tokens too. We're trying to get that as an incentive for people to be excited about disaster preparedness and to get the information in their homes.
All right. Tell us, Melissa, we very often we speak to TEMA in terms of we're in an emergency, we're in a stressed position or situation. Give us a little bit about some of these, the critical support of some of these other stakeholder agencies, because what's clear is that TEMA doesn't only play a role to assist, but TEMA also seeks to coordinate these other resources, that may have parts to play. We're talking about the fire service, the police service, WASA, and these other entities, some of whom you're bringing together as you're participating as stakeholders. How is that kind of relations in the context of treating with actual emergencies for TEMA?
We have in Tobago the TDMC, the Tobago Disaster Management Committee, where all those stakeholders meet every month. So it's not like we're meeting for the first time. We meet every month to discuss the business of Tobago's and the disaster, how we could be ready. One, what events that are coming on. For example, we had jazz recently. What are the critical things that each stakeholder would bring to the table in preparing ourselves for potential events in jazz? We have the hurricane season coming up. We have meetings to say, okay, what does the stakeholders have? What resources we have? How we could plan to make Tobago better in this upcoming hurricane season. And for example, myself and the safety officers have been going to the schools for February and March to talk to the principals about their emergency plan and creating their crisis committee. We've been to, I think, 37 schools thus far. We're now starting to try to get them to do their drills, because we have recognized that since 2020, most schools haven't done a drill, as well as haven't looked at their plan in any critical way. Some schools don't have a written plan, and because of that collaboration with the USH department, we are able to go and talk to the principals about that. So we always collaborate. Right now, our planning unit, as well as the fire service, USH and CMOH are doing shelter checks at all our shelters to make sure our shelters are hurricane ready, and they're going to do a report to make sure and present it to that TDMC committee.
And I'm glad you mentioned that, because that was taking me to my next area. Contact information for persons to realize TIMA doesn't have to select you. You can have an interest as a group or organization in wanting to teach those about, and TIMA will make themselves available. Yes. Tell us a little bit about the contact information for persons who may wish to reach out saying, oh, I didn't know TIMA used to offer this. I thought I had to wait until TIMA came to me. And then I know I'm speaking from experience with other programs and activity where TIMA expressed that willingness and they came on in. So contact information for persons who may be interested in reaching out saying, hey, I have a group of young people, I have a group of adults in my community, etc., and we feel that this is some knowledge and information that we want to be able to benefit from.
Well, we have a very active Facebook page. We normally respond very quickly to messages on our Facebook page. You can also contact our number at 660-8479,
Right.
sorry. And you have I'm the Community Outreach Program Officer. So my cell phone number is readily available at 756-5646. You could also email us at timaeoc@gmail.com.
All right, so
you could check also our website. If you're interested in becoming a CERT volunteer, we have a tab where you could sign up readily to be a CERT volunteer as well.
All right, excellent. Tell us the outcome thus far in terms of, I know that at the beginning of the month, you'd have had the first exposition in this period of May that took place at the Port Mall. What was the impact of that?
It was really good. We were downstairs at the mall, as I said, and the public was really anxious for that information. They were telling me that most of the questions that we asked, even though like this, what in the start of the rainy season, when it's the start of the hurricane season, we realized that even though it happens every year, people don't have that information at hand. You'll be surprised when I ask, when is the start of the hurricane season? People really don't know, even though it happens every year, and we are in the hurricane, at the bottom of the hurricane belt, but we are in the hurricane belt because we know we had Flora. So it will be surprising to know that people they're interested when we have it in front of them, but they don't know the information. So people were excited to get that information at hand, and they got the brochures to go home to, have it on their fridge. We have some hurricane preparedness flyers, so we encourage them to have that information on their fridge with all the contact information for all the emergency stakeholders readily available.
Would you say over the period of time that TIMA has been operating over the years, that people have become, more conscious, more educated, more informed? What would you say has been the progress from then to now in terms of these kinds of outreach efforts in relation to TIMA? Are you seeing us heading in a progressive direction, or TIMA still has to do most of the work for us to remind us consistently?
I think it's somewhere in between. We have gotten some strides into getting people to understand the importance of hurricane preparedness, but I just always say it's not a sexy topic. So unless something is happening or we have a threat, then people are more interested. You see an influx of comments on our page seeking for information, but I would say it has gotten better since I've been at TIMA for the past 7 years. But as I said, it's not really a sexy topic. So we still have to go out and seek, ask you to come to speak to you. But I could say before COVID, we've gotten more and more requests to come and speak to our schools, come and speak to our students. I remember this year, myself and the officer from the County Medical Office of Health normally has every year, Keep Tobago a Heart Target. We have had that campaign for about, COVID kind of restricted us for about 5 years, and we go to talk to all the camps and all the schools. And this year, SCAROSEC reached out to us for us to talk to them about disaster preparedness. So we didn't have to go and seek, but we always have these campaigns going on, and as a result of our collaborations as well.
Excellent. Before we wrap this morning, just again remind our viewers, it's happening tomorrow. If you can have that flyer back up on screen, just remind them of the details and coming out, where they should be tomorrow at some point during the day.
We are encouraging
all persons from the Roxborough area or from the north of Tobago to come out and see us tomorrow, Friday, 19th of May, at the Sid Gray Sporting Complex car park from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. We're excited to reach you. We have a lot of giveaways. We have a lot of information from our stakeholders, and I know you'll have a good time. Even if you don't have I know you have a good time, but I know you'll be able to give that information to your family and friends, and you have loads of questions to ask us, and we'll be readily available there to answer any question.
All right. Any other information you'd like to share before we close this morning, Melissa?
We just want to make the public aware that, as I said, even though it's not the sexiest of topic, the wet season is coming. I know it's going to be coming very soon, and the hurricane season will be beginning June 1st. We encourage you to have a family communications plan. Talk to your family of what you're going to be doing in this hurricane season. Where's your family muster point? Have an emergency kit ready with all the items available. You could get that information on our website, as well as prepare infrastructure. You don't wait until rains come to prepare infrastructure. Now is the time, when it's a dry season, to easily prepare your infrastructure.
All right, thank you so much, Melissa Yearwood Jack, joining us here on set. My classmate as well, Community Outreach Program Officer Tima. And thank you so much. And it's times like these when we are not necessarily in an emergency or treating with a disaster that we want to say kudos to Tima, because I think far and wide Tobago is indeed very proud of your efforts, especially when we hear others outside of Tobago speaking about the fact that, wow, you all seem to have things under so much control and you are prepared and you are ahead of time. So kudos going out to Tima and the entire team there for continuing to do an excellent job and really seeking to provide that necessary support, ready and able to support Tobago as may be required at any time when circumstances may happen. Viewers, once again, we want to thank you so much for joining us here on the Tobago Updates morning show. Coming up next, viewers, we have Andrew Smith, owner and designer of Precision Cut Tailoring. All right, and he will certainly be joining us here on set as we speak to upcoming Precision Cut Tailoring short course program graduation. Certainly working to help develop and to expand those skills, and we look forward to that upcoming discussions. Viewers, once again, we want to say thank you. Thank you for choosing the Tobago Updates morning show. Those of you connecting with us on the TV, you're sitting down, you're probably having your cup of coffee, you're probably having your milk tea, your chocolate tea, whatever it may be, a vanilla flavor, whatever it may be. Those of you, the hustle and the bustle on the way to work, listening into us on the radio or connecting on your device, this is your opportunity to share the live, share the live, share the live.
Yes, be careful.
Honey, I feel I'm going to start to cook, yes, because these children must be hungry now. Right? Okay.
Oh, shucks. Oh. These plugs, oh my gosh.
Hey, Jack, hey, come from there. Come from there.
What's going on in here?
Oh God, I should have buy exhibition, boy. What would you do if this happened to you? Dial 990 in case of fire emergencies and always have a serviceable fire extinguisher ready and available at all times.
Coconut's Cafe, the buffet restaurant that specializes in all your tasty local dishes. For breakfast and for lunch. Breakfast includes coconut bake and sada roti, served with chokers, bull joil, and sausages in tomato sauce. Not forgetting beef and cheese pies, shepherd's pie, macaroni pie, and rice in various styles. Meat served in a variety of flavors, garden salads, and pasta salads. All this accompanied by fruit juices, coconut water, your choice of a great combination to appease your taste buds. So call us today to order, as we are here to accommodate your busy schedules or if you are having a cooking day off.
Am I MI4 Security Services Company is the most advanced security service in Tobago. Ask about our cash and transit service. It's safe, risk-free, reliable, and timely. We provide safe banking delivery for all business types and sizes with highly trained staff, 24/7 monitoring, coordinated emergency response, and a well-maintained fleet of armored vehicles. Contact us at 660-7723 or visit our website at www.mi4securitytt.com to sign up today.
October will never be better with Tobago Carnival fever. Book your passage and come on over.
You can now get whatever you need whenever you need it anywhere in Tobago with Tobago. Your meals, medication, groceries, and shopping all delivered directly to you. No more hassle, no more stress. Get the Tobago app today on Google Play or Apple App Store.
That's TAPPOGO and let us deliver to you.
Check our website at www.tapogo.app or call the experts at 494-TOGO and 484-4746. Tobago. Relax. We will get it to you. Tobago's at your service.
Tapicom. Welcome to the future. The only card you will need in a new world. Digital business cards. Safe, hassle-free. The future is here. Tapicom. New generation digital transfer. Digital time clock cards. Digital attendance cards. Air tags. Customized designs. Digital clothing tags. Digital pet tags. Tapicom. The future is here. Contact us today.
The best place to stay in Tobago is at Thorn's Place with rates starting as low as 200 TT. Call or WhatsApp 745-7306 or 682-8676. We are located uptown Scarborough, 5 minutes away from the port. Remember, at Thorn's Place, our aim is to make your stay safe and affordable.
Put a smile on your face when you're moving from place to place. Good morning, good morning, morning, good morning, morning.
Viewers, welcome back this morning to the Tobago Updates morning show. Now, just before we get into our final interview for this morning, we just want to take a quick backtrack here with concerning our birthdays. So Marlon Calendar celebrates his birthday today, and we did celebrate him a little earlier on to start the program. But his wife, she sent in another picture, and I think the guys may or may not have that one there. But she sent in another picture, and she wants a special one. So this special birthday greeting, Marlon, is coming to you from your lovely wife, and this is from Melissa. That's right, Melissa Calendar. She says, "Pleasant good morning. Could you wish my husband the happiest birthday ever, coming from his beautiful family." So Marlon, birthday greetings going out to you specifically from Melissa and the entire beautiful family that you have. So love going out to you guys. So Melissa, you got a good guy out there, girl. All right. Now, viewers, we're chatting this morning with my very good friend, Andrew Smith. He's the owner, designer of Precision Cuts Tailoring. And we're talking this morning because Precision Cut Tailoring had just completed some short course programs, and their graduation is coming up over the weekend. But we're going to get some insight into the mind behind the precision cuts and tailoring, and where this gentleman really came from to be doing all this excellent work that he's putting out here in Tobago, Trinidad, and beyond. Good morning and welcome to Andrew Smith.
Good morning, Ria. Thank you for having me this morning.
It is really nice to be able to chat with you. And let me start this morning by asking you, when did all of this start? Because I've known you for a number of years, all right? And then all of a sudden we saw social media lighting up with your work. But where did your tailoring skills first start?
Well, like I said in my previous interview, it started at age 14, right? I realized that I had a natural ability, but also knew that I had to find someone to help me enhance that natural ability, to refine it and turn it into a business. Right? Started at age 14, and I pursued it from there all through high school, and up until today, I am now imparting knowledge and sharing my experience with others.
All right, and I see up on the screen here some of your work is being displayed. So when you started back then, of course, you were not doing suits.
No.
Who were you sewing for at the time?
I did a lot of female work, persons who would work in government offices and stuff like that, uniforms, sports clothing and stuff like that. Right. I only started suit like about 7 years ago.
Right.
Right. I followed this guy on Instagram. I saw his work on Instagram, Professor Andrew Ramu. And I started, following his work. I realized that, I still have a whole lot to learn when I saw his work. And I reached out to him. And we had conversations via social media. And I eventually got into a training program that he had in 2020. And I was able to, enhance even further the knowledge that I had.
All right. Now talk to us about the short courses that you would have run quite recently, and what were the areas of focus for your students, or for the participants?
Right. Well, we started off with female pants making. Right. I started off with 8 trainees, and shortly after that we went into male pants, and then from there we went into jacket coat making.
All right.
We also did some dressmaking as well.
Right. And how many participants were a part of the course?
In total, we have 16 participants, with one person doing 3 out of the 4 courses that I offered.
All right. Now, pants, female pants and male pants, 2 different cuts?
Yeah, totally, 2 different cuts.
And look at that. All right. Now, we've got some other photos there, and I'm hoping we can run them really quickly. These and some of the work that the participants did, some of the process, the training process. And this is you made this from pants to jacket.
Yes, it's called bespoke tailoring, right?
It's called
bespoke.
Bespoke.
Bespoke tailoring, right? That's where you buy the fabric, right? You don't use any pattern. Right, you don't buy a pattern and transfer the pattern to the fabric. That's where you measure the person. Right, you could draft straight on the fabric if you want, if you have enough experience to draft directly on the fabric, or you could create a pattern for the person. Right, so you're starting from
based on their body.
Based on the body type, you're building the suit from 0 to 100 from scratch. It's called bespoke tailoring.
Bespoke tailoring. And I want to go back to that previous picture there, where we saw one of the participants. Yeah, one of the participants. And this is one of your participants.
This is trainees work you're looking at here, right? It looks just like mine, right?
Yes.
And I feel so happy when I saw the end result of what the trainees did in the training program, right? And I am looking forward to continuing this program from next year. From next year March, we'll be continuing the jacket, coat, pants making, dressmaking as well.
All right. Were there participants who knew nothing about sewing, Or did they have some background knowledge, some skills, something?
Well, they all had background knowledge. For something like jacket making, it could be complicated, right? So I recommend that persons who wanted to do the jacket making course, especially, you need to have some knowledge, some foreknowledge on
some
sewing.
Sewing experience.
Yes, that is important for jacket coat making.
All right.
You need to understand how to use the machine, how to use your tools, how to measure and stuff like that. This is not something that, a novice could just jump right into and come out at. Right, it will take a whole lot from the trainer. So it's always better to have trainees that have foreknowledge on sewing if they want to get into this jacket making course.
Okay, and you did indicate a little while ago that you want to continue with these courses. When would be the next cycle?
Next cycle starts in March 2024. The exact date will be announced soon, so that persons could prepare themselves, to jump into the course. So.
And how long does it go for?
The jacket, it will be a 1 year, 9 months. It will start from March and go straight down to December.
Okay.
Right, and within that period, you'll be learning both the jacket and the pants.
All right. And tell us now about the graduation exercise that's coming up this weekend.
Yeah, well, I am really excited about the graduation, because we're coming out to celebrate and to, to come together and talk about all the hard work that we would have put in over the past 2 years, because we started in 2021 and we completed 4 courses by December of 2022. Right, so the Chief Secretary will be gracing us with his presence at the graduation, along with a few other assemblymen, like Dr. Faith and Pastor Baines, supposed to be there. Zia Hackett is also supposed to be there. So they are coming out to celebrate with us and to support what we are doing for fashion in Tobago here.
All right. Now, these are also persons who you would have done work for.
Yes, not all of them, but yeah, I did work for Fali, of course, with Zia, and I also did some work for Dr. Faith as well.
Okay. All right. So is this an open graduation exercise for persons to come out, support, and to see what you have been doing for fashion in Tobago?
Well, this one would not be open for the entire public to come in. Right. But the graduates are allowed to bring one person along. Right, because it's 16 persons, they're allowed to bring one person along with, other persons will be there as well.
Just a very small setting.
It's a small setting, right? Okay. Maybe for the next one, we could do something bigger.
Right.
Maybe a fashion symposium and graduation in one,
All right. Yeah. And Andrew, how can persons contact Precision Cut Tailoring?
Right, you could reach me on Instagram and Facebook at Andrew John Smith. Right, you could also contact me direct through phone call or WhatsApp at 491-6219.
All right. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. And where are you located? Is it West End, Scarborough, East End?
East. I'm located in the east. That's in the Pembroke area.
That's right.
But we want to we did the first training program in the Pembroke area. Right, I am thinking about bringing it closer to Scarborough, or maybe in Scarborough itself, where persons who are coming from like Crown Point and Mariah and all those places make it easier for them. Right, because in Pembroke we have persons who travel from Mariah, from Charlottesville, all parts of Tobago, because they've seen something that they want and they don't mind traveling the distance to get that thing.
That's right. Great things come from the east. Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you. Thank you so much for chatting with us this morning, Andrew John Smith of Precision Cut Tailoring. Viewers, we're going to leave it there. We want to thank you so much for joining us this morning. We've got GMT coming up with Chanel Felix, and we've also got Tobago Notes. So we head on over. Have a great day. Bye-bye, everybody.
Good health starts.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Occupational Safety and Health Department, formerly Safety and Health Unit, was established in 2012 as a strategic approach by the THA to comply with the Occupational Safety and Health Act. This department is responsible for the development and implementation of an OSH management system throughout all divisions of the THA.
A warm welcome to the 9th Annual Tobago House of Assembly's Occupational Safety and Health Awards Ceremony 2023. This ceremony marks the culmination of all of the activities that took place in commemoration of the ILO's World Day for Safety and Health at Work 2023, which is celebrated worldwide today. The activities hosted by the department embody the theme for this year. A safe and healthy working environment is a fundamental principle and right at work.
We want to use this opportunity to thank all of you for your service to the THA, service in the private sector as well. I want to thank all of you for ensuring that we keep our workers safe, so that workers can go home safely every evening to their families. And we will keep working. This is a commitment that we'll keep working as far as resources are available in ensuring that the work environment remains safe, hospitable, and healthy for all our workers.
Was a production of the Department of Information, Office of the Chief Secretary, Tobago House of Assembly.
Yeah. Hey.
Tobago updates. Good morning, Tobago. Wake up with Candace and Denasia.
Let's go. It's a brand new morning. Rise up to a brand new dawning as the passion start to rise. The energy fill the skies. I say thanks a favor to wake up and hear my neighbor. 60,000 people strong and the vibes is never wrong. We are beauty, we are power. We are people in the sun. We are beaches, we are rivers. We are melody.
Good morning, and welcome to Good Morning Tobago right here on Tobago Updates. Guys, thank you so much for joining me this morning. You know, whenever you see me here, it's because we're about to have those conversations that you want to have, and I'm going to ask those questions that you want to know. Now, before we kick off with this morning's conversation, I'm going to give you your news in 90 seconds. So the Chief Secretary, Farley Augustine, announced plans to drive the quest for autonomy forward in 1 month. Augustine spoke at Tuesday's THA Town Hall meeting in Mount St. George. Several residents raised the matter of autonomy for Tobago during their contributions, questioning the Chief Secretary on its status. Augustine responded by promising action in 1 month. He said that he did not want to reveal exactly what they planned to do, but he explained that the actions would be forceful and effective. Augustine also expressed frustrations with the current arrangement between the THA and central government, which prevents the Executive Council from executing many tasks that will benefit Tobago. Additionally, former Police Commissioner Gary Griffith lost a case he filed against the Trinidad Express newspaper in October of 2020 for 3 articles it published about the granting of firearm license by him when he was top cop. Justice Jacqueline Wilson, in a 32-page ruling on Tuesday, upheld the defense of the Reynolds privilege argued by attorney
by attorneys for the Express. She explained that it protects publications that are in the public interest and where the publisher acted responsibly. Griffith was ordered to pay the legal fees incurred by the Express newspaper for this court proceeding. And finally, opposition leader Kamala Prasad-Bissessar promised to make gun ownership easier for law-abiding citizens. She criticized the government for pursuing a foolish attack on legal firearm holders when its members are protected with armed security. Commenting on the worrying state of crime in the country, Prasad-Bissessar said that it appears as though the government does not want to give citizens the right to protect themselves. She said, social status, race, or economic circumstances should not prevent citizens from applying for firearms. And that was your news in 90 seconds. Guys, this morning we're about to have a number of interesting conversations, but first we want to start off with the conversation on the topic of TADCO. And before we get into that conversation, I have a quick clip that I want to bring to you, and we'll be back.
Your pronouncement on TADCO, let me make it clear. Me never formed TADCO. Is a man who's walking with white boots that formed TADCO and take everybody who wasn't functioning, as you say, and lump them in one company called TADCO. And so you're making the point that we took the people, when I say we are talking about the THA, not me. The THA took the people who were non-functional or bad workers and just lumped them in a new entity hoping that they will perform. And you're saying that they're not performing better now and that there is a need for restructuring. Restructuring TADCO will mean that several of those people you talk about will no longer be in TADCO. And if they're no longer in TADCO, it means they're looking for a job somewhere. You understand where I'm going with it? And then when they start to make noise about fire people, you restructure, I don't see half of all you're commenting and supporting and saying that we're right to do the restructuring. But once you know, and I agree with you, there's a need for some restructuring in TADCO. Yeah, there's a need for restructuring in TADCO when it is you're going to have products coming to be sold in TADCO and half of it unaccounted for. Cheese missing, ham missing, all kind of things missing. So there's a need for restructuring that has to happen. But note that the restructuring will result in a leaner, much more efficient TADCO that can work for you. Mr. Rajman, you want to see Tobago as a private.
Okay, guys, and that clip that you just saw is a clip from one of the town hall meetings that was held at Mount St. George on Tuesday. This morning, to further this conversation, I have the privilege of sitting with our former Chief Secretary and the political leader for the Tobago Council of the PNM, Mr. Ansel Dennis. Good morning.
Good morning to you. It's a pleasure to be here. Let me say good morning to listeners and viewers of this very interesting program.
Well, it's always a pleasure. And this one, we're going to get into some very interesting conversation. And as you saw by the lead-in of that clip, we're talking a bit about TADCO, which the current Chief Secretary insinuated. You know, he said that that wasn't formed by their administration, which we know it was formed by the previous administration. But he made it a critical point that it was, when referring to the man in the white boots, we know that you put on your white boots and you went out there, you were out there with the farmers during your time in office. So it is only safe to assume that he meant you when he spoke about the man with the white boots. So you played an instrumental role in the formation of TADCO. Tell us a little bit about the genesis of TADCO and what the vision and mission really was in the beginning. And do you still see TADCO reaching for the initial vision that you presented when the company was formed?
Well, firstly, let me say that I'm thankful that the Chief Secretary gave credit to the previous PNM administration for TADCO. And I'm hoping that he continues to give the PNM credit for initiatives and programs started under the PNM and even delivered by the PNM that the people of Tobago are now benefiting from. TADCO, of course, was really an amalgamation of three companies. We had the fishing company, we had Tico Suave, and we had the cassava company. Of course, those companies were operating and functioning reasonably well, but we recognized that there was room for improvement and that we could have benefited from greater efficiency by bringing all three entities under one umbrella. So of course we went about that restructuring without firing or sending home anybody. We made a determination that in that arrangement we were going to save all the jobs. So every staff member in the companies at that time across the three companies found a place in TADCO. And the mandate was simply to ensure that we improve productivity in the agri sector, that we improve efficiency, and most importantly, that we get Tobago produced goods not only across the country, but even outside of our shores, regionally, internationally, etc. And therefore, the company was established with that mandate in mind. And I think we started off very well. We had intentions of establishing an agro-processing facility in Goldsboro. That was started. The equipment was brought in from China. The equipment is in Tobago as I speak, somewhere in Shore Park. But unfortunately, the building is there languishing up at Goldsboro. In addition to that, we got the capital of Paradise up and running. I see this administration is taking credit for that. But the truth is, by the time this administration came into office, the capital of Paradise was pretty much ready to take the seas again. In addition to that, across the sector, we were doing a number of things. We started a farmland development program, again with the intention of putting acres of lands into the hands of farmers in Friendship, in Goldsboro, in Belmont Road, in Lamy Road, and other areas across Tobago, because we believe that through that arrangement, farmers would produce more. And TADCO will have the opportunity to take those goods from the farmers and do the necessary agro-processing and stuff to get food items to feed ourselves, to feed the nation, and as I said before, the region, and possibly the world. Unfortunately, I think TADCO has lost its moorings. TADCO is now on a new path that is detrimental to the people of Tobago. And I will start even with the food hub. We were in the process, when we were in office, of establishing a farmers' wholesale market, right? They decided, based on their information and based on their knowledge, or perhaps based on advice, that they will establish a food hub. And we now see a situation where TADCO is somehow becoming a new festivals commission. We are seeing events, we are seeing all fours and all these kinds of things. Meanwhile, the farmers are not necessarily benefiting from TADCO as they should. The Goldsboro facility is not being continued. We see now where some company from Trinidad by the name of Novo is engaged now doing exactly what that facility was being established to do at a cost to the taxpayer of $300,000 per month.
Sorry, I just want to clarify. When you say what that facility was supposed to do, are you talking about the one that you guys were
that we started
working on
in Goldsboro? Yes, correct. Okay. And that the equipment, the same equipment Novo has, that same equipment is owned by the THA, and it's in some facility here in Tobago, unused and unutilized to the benefit of Tobagonians. So this administration has chosen to engage Novo at a cost of $300,000 per month. And this wasn't first raised by me, it was raised by an avid, serious Tobago farmer who came to this very platform, or it might have been Tobago Channel 5, to reveal that to the public. Initially, TADCO was saying his lie, right? The chairman and I think another director came to the media and refuted those claims, claiming that the farmer was lying. Until recently, I got my hands on some invoices, because of course, no company is crazy enough to send an invoice to the THA without producing anything for the invoice. So I got my hand on invoices, and then the chairman came afterwards sometime last week and said, well, Novo was not paid. TADCO didn't pay any money to Novo. But that is not the question, because of course we know that the THA doesn't pay immediately. It's always an arrangement where invoice submitted and payment comes sometime after that. So it's not whether or not Novo was paid. The issue is whether or not Novo is engaged by the THA to produce items already being produced in Tobago at a cost of $300,000 per month. The Chief Secretary defended that arrangement when he stated, in the most difficult way for me to understand, that Novo is being paid to take goods from farmers in Tobago, take it back to Trinidad, process it, and bring it back to Tobago. That is a lie, because when you ask the farmers across Tobago, no farmer could tell me confidently that TATCO engages in taking any produce from them. As a matter of fact, all of them are saying that since we left office, where we were taking goods from the farmers, mostly to produce food support for Tobagonians during the difficult pandemic period, since we left office, that arrangement has stopped. So my question is, which farmers exactly are they taking the produce from? Because none of the farmers that I spoke to, and I have built relationships with most, I'm not saying all, but most of the farmers through Walking Tobago in the same white boots that the Chief Secretary mentioned.
Right.
So is it that the Chief Secretary is lying to the public? The chairman of TATCO is saying that Novo wasn't paid. That's not the issue. And now the Chief Secretary is claiming, well, yes, we engaged Novo, but they're taking produce from Tobago to take it back to Trinidad for processing and then bring it to Tobago.
Right. Unfortunately for me, I was the one that had those conversations with Mr. Roland Murray when he came on, and he brought the food box initiative to the public and spoke about the fact that the items in the food box were being produced by the very same Novo farms that you're talking about. And after that, subsequent to that, I had the chairman, Mr. Alfred, as well as Mr. Dillon came on, and they did admit to having that relationship with Novo farms. And I did ask the question whether or not the produce was coming from Tobago, and Mr. Dillon would have indicated that it was a combined initiative whereby they were taking items from farmers in Tobago, but they were also taking items from the very same Novo farms. And I have to ask you the question, how do you think the processing can happen in Tobago if that facility is not ready?
Again, we were making the steps, right? And we, in our arrangement, we took goods from the farmers in Tobago, and we were able to produce food items with the same goods. So to say now that farmers in Tobago aren't producing enough, as I heard the Chief Secretary say, is a lie. Now, the thing is, the previous administration started a facility, and they will have the documents from the previous company board. The documents will rest with the CEO as to the purpose of that facility. And again, it is to do exactly what Novo is doing, or what they are paying Novo to do.
The question lies, what type of transitional programs or sessions you had with this, or your administration would have had with this current administration? Because it seemed to me from that conversation that I had with Mr. Alfred, who's the chairman of TATCO, and Mr. Dillon, that they had no idea about the intricate details surrounding the creation of that facility. Because if you remember, they walked the facility, they took the media on a tour, and they showed what the status of the facility currently is.
And that is quite unfortunate. It is true that there was no proper handing over, not only with TATCO, but perhaps across all the other entities. Because when the Chief Secretary could get on the media and essentially fire all the boards, right, with immediate effect, then obviously there will be no proper handing over. I am told, I don't know if the information is correct, I am told that people barged into offices, removed people from offices, changed around offices, went to the police and stuff concerning not being able to find documents without even a phone call to the previous chairman of the company. Again, that is what I'm being told. I cannot verify if that is the truth, right? But clearly there was no plan to have any proper handing over. I think people were more interested in getting the previous administration out, because as far as they were concerned that all of us were thieves, and people were more interested in getting people out and looking for information to take to the police and that kind of thing, rather than getting on with the business of the people of Tobago.
Right, and as you speak about the business of the people of Tobago and in the interest of Tobago's development outside of the politics, do you think there's still an opening to have those conversations to ensure that these things come to fruition? Because as you indicated,
of course,
the relationship with Nouveau is one that is being had because we currently do not have the processing facilities here on the island to facilitate the type of production that is necessary.
I'm not buying that, because I'm saying even if you must have a relationship with Nouveau, the fact remains that produce that is being produced in Tobago, I went to Goldsboro up to last week, and I saw some of the very produce that appeared on that invoice in the ground in Goldsboro here in Tobago. And therefore it cannot be that produce is being taken from Trinidad to bring to Tobago, especially produce that is being produced in Tobago. That is simply unacceptable. And it's not in the interest of Tobagonians. Now, I heard as well the Chief Secretary claiming that Tobago farmers were not producing due to floods. And the question I have is, between Trinidad and Tobago, where floods the most, right? So it is simply unacceptable. Now, to the point of having open conversations, of course it can happen. There's nothing wrong with the chairman of TADCO picking up his phone and calling Ms. Titus to get the information. Even as it relates to TPAC, I know TPAC is not the conversation, but there was a board member having to call me to get some information as to the status and the mandate and the purpose and that kind of stuff concerning TPAC, simply because, again, the previous board was unceremoniously removed. I am told up to this day they have not been paid all their board fees. Some of it is still owing, and there is no answer or response from anybody. So when you treat people like that, and when you set that kind of tone, then there is no real opportunity for a proper handing over and for continuity. So while I would believe that this administration is clearly on a different path because they are making different decisions, which I understand, different administrations will have different policies. So instead of continuing the facility at Goldsboro and utilizing the equipment that was already purchased, they choose to engage Nouveau at a cost of $300,000 a month to bring goods from Trinidad to Tobago. They choose to carry the media to an unfinished building in some effort to maybe embarrass the previous administration. They chose as well to put a food hub in Shore Park instead of continuing with the farmers' wholesale market. So they are clearly on a different path. But at the same time, I think conversations can be had with the people who were there previously to get information if that is required.
And do you think that, because admittedly, there isn't the capacity in Tobago as yet?
No, I'm not admitting that Tobago lacks capacity in the agriculture
I'm speaking
sector.
in regards to the production.
In terms of agro-processing?
Exactly.
Well, the reality is, before we started that facility, and even before there was any Nouveau, we did engage in some kind of agro-processing. There are people doing it separate and apart from the THA outside in their own little corners and stuff. I've seen it myself, so it is happening. But when you spend $300,000 per month, and it might be more, I'm saying that money could have gone into finishing the current facility rather than have it there unmaintained. The only time they cut the bush was when they wanted to bring in the media in an attempt to embarrass us. But I'm saying the resources can go into the completion of that facility, or the resources can even go into the pockets of Tobago farmers, right? So that we can have a situation, because a secretary said it when he wasn't in office as yet, that when you take Tobago's money and you put it into the pockets of Trinidadians or into another economy, and let me just say this as well, I am not saying that no Trinidadian or no Trinidad company should do business in Tobago. That is not what I'm saying. If the capacity and if what is being produced can be done in Tobago, then it should not come from Trinidad. And that is what I'm simply saying. So I'm saying that money could be utilized in the interest of Tobagonians rather than to ship into another company that will not benefit Tobagonians.
So are you saying that the current production should be stalled until that building is completed? Because there is a certain level of quality and consistency that comes from engaging
the chief secretary himself did say last night that they would relook the situation, they would relook the process. Because again,
the structure of TADCO, that is.
Not just the structure of TADCO, he did indicate about looking at the Novo arrangement again. And if I'm not mistaken, he did indicate that it's on a pause or something like that. But my information is that they owe Novo money, and Novo has stopped producing because of the money being owed, right? So I am saying agro-processing and production can happen in Tobago. And even if you feel, which I don't agree with, even if you feel that you must engage this company from Trinidad via MOU, and up to now we have not seen the MOU. This administration has a habit where Tobagonians only find out things if the minority leader reveals it, or if some document is leaked to me and I put it out there. We have not seen the MOU as well, although we have been asking for it. But even if they agree that we must engage Novo in order to save Tobago's agriculture sector, then at least if the items that Novo requires are being produced in Tobago, then it should come from the farmers in Tobago. And my information is that apart from meats and bread, everything else comes from Trinidad, although it is being produced in Tobago.
Okay, and so a lot of the conversation that has been had from yourself and the minority leader on your side has surrounded the notion of the THA giving Tobago's money to Trinidad contractors. However, a number of the contracts that were distributed during your time in office went to Trinidadians, especially the one for the Scarborough Market renovation project that went to a Trinidadian contractor. So is that not some level
I'm glad you asked the question, because it gives me an opportunity to explain the significant difference. Now again, we are not saying, and I am not saying, that no Trinidad company should do work in Tobago. You have, in the public sector, there are several ways in which you could tender projects. You can have open tender, yeah? In an open tender, it goes out into the public domain, and any company registered with the THA, whether they're from Trinidad or Tobago, can tender for that project. And that's the most transparent form of tendering, and anybody could win that project. And I can assure you that on every occasion where a Trinidad company was awarded work under the PNM, unless it was a case where some special skill was required that did not exist in Tobago, on every other occasion it was an open tender, right? Where it was advertised by one of the agencies that were doing work for us, sometimes MTS, sometimes it was UDCOT, and there's another one, NIPDEC, right? On every occasion, it was an open tender. Again, let me repeat, unless it was some special skill that was required that did not exist in Tobago. This administration, on the other hand, has selected a group of contractors. Well, it's not even a group. Perhaps it has belonged to one or two from Trinidad, brought them to Tobago, and are sole selecting them. So in other words, they were handpicked, no tendering process. Another road started. Tobagonians didn't even know that the road started until some resident down there chose to lie down in the road because of some incursion concerning his land. We were not told that a road was going to start. We were not told about the cost. We were not told about who the contractor was until 8 days after it started. We saw no advertisement for that project. So no other contractor, whether from Trinidad or Tobago, was given an opportunity to tender for that project, because it was not a public tender, it was a selective arrangement. And there's a stark difference. So when you come and you handpick these contractors to bring them to do work in Tobago, that can be done, and were being done by Tobago contractors who, by the way, were employing more than 1,000 Tobagonians who are now unemployed, then you can understand the situation that creates in the Tobago economy. So don't put the PNM in that bracket at all. Again, let me reiterate, yes, Trinidad contractors got work under the PNM. Yes, Tobago will always have to utilize Trinidad contractors at some point, right, going forward in our development. But it cannot be a situation where you handpick contractors, sole select them, and bring them to do work in Tobago that were previously being done by Tobagonians. If you put it out publicly, and a Trinidad contractor tender, and they win the award, no problem. But in this case, we have between the Chief Secretary and the Secretary and whoever else in the Division of Infrastructure colluding to select chosen contractors. And if you realize, the one doing the road down at Friendship is the same one that did the road in Dutch Fort under very questionable circumstances, which I will not repeat because it was already revealed on this very platform. I think it was through the Minority Report. So there's a stark difference there. Don't compare the PNM to this administration.
Excellent. And so as we wrap up this morning's conversation, because unfortunately we're out of time, I really wish that we had the entire hour to discuss. However, we don't. Is there any messages that you want to send to this current administration before you leave?
What will I say to this current administration? They don't normally take advice according to their own advisor, Mr. Ho Choi Charles, and Tobago economist Vanos James, who supported them, by the way. If they're not listening to Ho Choi and Vanos, then I'm not sure what I could possibly tell them, but I would want to tell them to change course, evaluate the current circumstances. The path that they are pursuing is detrimental to Tobago and Tobago's economy. And I will really want to caution and advise them to change course, not only with Novo, but even the current circumstances in the Division of Infrastructure. Though I believe the Chief Secretary has very little power when it comes to that division, and even among other things, really evaluate the circumstances and change course before it's too late.
All right, thank you for that word of advice. All right, thank you so much for taking the time out to sit here with us, guys. We're going to take a quick break and we'll be back right after this.
Start to rise, the energy fill the skies. I say thanks for favor, so wake up and hear me neighbor. 60,000.
Are you looking for a place for your loved ones? Heavenly Care welcomes you. Located at Northside Road opposite Massey Motors, we offer a variety of services. These include doctor visitations, social activities, geriatric care, and much more. Contact us at 277-9595 or visit us at Northside Road opposite Massey Motors. At Heavenly Care, compassion is at the heart of all care.
The Across the Floor Dance Company presents Emotions, Movement of the Heart dance production on Saturday, May 27th at the Shore Park Complex. Come see dances of all genres. Seating at 6:30 p.m. Show starts promptly at 7 p.m. Tickets are only $100. Children 10 and under pay $50 at the door. Tickets are available at Shore Park Complex box office or please call 391-2816 for more information. This is an event for the entire family.
Tobago will never be the same. It's coming strong, but it's tired. This little piggy is tired. It's finally here, Tobago. The adult-only comedy that played to sold-out houses across Trinidad is finally in Tobago. One night only. Saturday, June 3rd at 8:30 p.m. at the Shore Park Complex. Tickets available at advertised outlets. Check press and social media for details. Tobago, the Bacadal Week.
It's a different type of thing down there. What? And
we party till we drop down there. With a lot of pretty girls down there, down in Tobago.
Yeah. Hey. Tobago updates.
Morning and welcome back to Good Morning Tobago right here on Tobago Updates, guys. As we continue with this morning's conversation, we know that the island of Tobago has seen a number of crime-related incidents happening lately, which is not very common here on the island. So these are the things that cause a bit of a startle among the society. And to have this discussion regarding a crime on the island of Tobago, this morning we have the pleasure of speaking with Mr. Alpha Lord. Good morning, sir. He is the president of the Tobago Tourism Hospitality Association. And right before the break, we were talking about that clarity in regards to what the Tobago Tourism and Hotel Association is. And it is an association of independent stakeholders. And he's going to tell us a little bit more about that association and their function on the island.
So the Tobago Hotel and Tourism Association is an amalgamation of stakeholders across the industry, so restaurants, bars, hotels, tour operators, and collectively we get together to support any initiative that would grow the industry in tandem with other stakeholders, i.e., for example, government in this case, that has a remit for driving the development of the industry. So we don't do it independently. We work with the THA through the Division of Tourism and the Tobago Tourism Agency Limited to expand the boundaries of tourism, if we were to call it that, for Tobago benefit.
Excellent. And so in relation to the spike in crime that we've seen on the island over the last couple of weeks, tell us how this has impacted your industry and what are some of the things that you guys are doing to also work with the THA to combat crime on the island?
Well, crime is not something that you could singularly point out and say, okay, it has impacted the industry in this particular way. Obviously, if crime is the focus or the point of conversation in the markets that we're trying to attract, persons will obviously look at the situation and say, well, no, there's a high crime situation there. We won't go there. So we won't want it to get to a place where that's the single source conversation that's taking place in the markets where we also are trying to attract persons to come from. I think that's where we will see it adversely affecting us. But I think crime as a societal problem affects us, whether we're in the tourism industry or any other industry. And as tourism stakeholders, we would like to support any initiative that would take us to our point of reducing crime, or at least taking it to a place where it has less impact and psychological impact on us on a daily basis.
Excellent. And so any initiatives what initiatives have you guys been working on with the current administration, or what type of conversations are being had in regards to its effect on the tourism industry?
So historically, the Hotel Association has had a conversation and a seat with the senior police officer in Tobago with regards to crime and crime prevention methodologies and things that can aid the police in their jobs from the point of view of the association, contributing to the conversation, contributing activities. So we have continued to maintain that committee. We've continued to contribute to it. And as fast as the authorities implement policies, we're there to help support it in any way, form, or fashion that they need, as well as just put our voice to the conversation as to what we think might help even before the instance of crime takes place.
Right. And Tobago has a slightly different socioeconomic makeup from Trinidad, and it demands a specific strategy that deals with Tobago.
Okay.
So what are there any ideas that are specific to the circumstances here in Tobago that you guys have raised or have been adamant about being implemented?
I think the Hotel Association as an individual entity can support the initiatives of the government and the TTPS in terms of their broad objectives. Our role or our willingness in the process really is to ensure that whatever support they need, we can provide, whatever level of communication. I'll take, for example, crime and criminality is not something that starts today. Right? There are a lot of socioeconomic factors that precede a crime taking place. We as members of the association are making ourselves available to say, okay, if you have a complete strategy and it needs A, B, and C done, we might be able to help with B. We might be able to say, provide facilities where forums might be able to take place to deal with crime. That forum might take place from some sort of psychological research or data research or things like that. We might have resources, or I shouldn't say might, we have resources that can help in those regards.
And that leads to my next question in regards to how data is gathered and if data is gathered in a way that can assist with with targeting crime on the island and showing its impact on the tourism industry. For instance, has there been a decrease in visitor arrivals because of the spike in crime? Is that type of data being collected?
I cannot say that that type of data is being collected, number one. Number two, I think data oftentimes come after. So we've just seen the spike in the last 6 months. We can compare January to June in July and say January to June 2021 or 2020 versus 2023, and then kind of ask questions. Well, why, how, what, where, when?
Right. And is this something that you guys plan to embark on in regards to looking at the data?
Well, we would definitely be looking at data when we're looking at it from a number of different perspectives, not singularly to crime, because we obviously will want to be tracking our performance as an industry continuously. So for sure, you're going to see, or we will have questions that we will ask of ourselves and our membership, why this has happened or what is contributing to this. And if we see that members are saying that crime in the first 6 months had a contributory effort, right, to what occurred in their business, then of course we'll report that information saying, well, we've seen this downturn or this plateau as a result of members reporting that crime affected their business.
Okay, no problem. And is it that we can look forward to seeing publications from the Tobago Tourism and Hospitality Association regarding the numbers when we look at arrivals, when we look at feedback from tourists that come from restaurants and hotels, from tour guides? Are you guys actively trying to gather the data to have a holistic perspective on where we are as an economy as it relates to tourism?
Oh, most definitely. I think just coming out of our most recent board meeting, one of the things that we've determined is, as an association, most importantly, we should be a data center for our members. Our members should be able to know the A's and B's of the industry and what's influencing it. Right? So you will not see us come out and say crime is the single source contributor for a decline in tourism arrivals. We know there are a whole lot more contributing factors, but what we would produce is statistical information that supports. If we say there's been a decline, we would not only say there's a decline, we'd be able to show how much the decline is, where the source markets the decline came from, and then go and interrogate those source markets to say, why have we had a decline? Because the decline could come from a number of different reasons. And crime might be part of the conversation at all in their mind, but it doesn't change the fact that crime could contribute to the decline at some future point in time. So let's say crime is not an issue right now. Do we not consider crime? We still have to. So
right. And so are you committing that the association would be making these publications in the near future? When can we look forward to seeing the statistics, and would the statistics be credible enough to be used by the government, by researchers, by foreign individuals?
What information we could provide on specifically is our members. So all the members would provide their data on a monthly basis, and we can simply say at that point in time we have seen an increase or a decrease. We might be able to speak to some of the elements that might have contributed to that increase or decrease, but tourist arrivals to Tobago is broadly influenced by a whole lot of other factors, airlift included.
Right. And are you actively encouraging your members to gather the data, to do the surveys, to reach out to whether it be persons that would have patronized their business, hotel guests, restaurant, persons who have visited before, by asking them to follow up, by not only giving them a review, but tell us about your overall experience. Is this something that the association is actively doing?
Actively. And in support with the Tobago Tourism Agency Limited, they also send out a monthly survey to be able to gather information from the hotel. So we encourage the hoteliers to fill it out, send it back into TTAL. TTAL then is able to collate that information. So they will be now seeing, okay, hotel A, B, C, and D has seen increases, decreases. The island, you could look at it this way, the island might see an increase over a period, but then you might see some hotels decreasing, but then you see other areas performing, right? Because I've seen a decrease at my property, can I immediately attribute that to crime? No, because the island as a destination might have seen an increase during that period. So I think the bigger entity to actually formulate that data and give feedback to say these are the contributing factors on a very high level will be TTAL or the Division of Tourism. Right, but we would definitely contribute to the conversation.
Excellent. And thank you again, Mr. Lord, for coming on to this update and giving us your time.
It was my pleasure.
Yes. And again, thank the Tobago Tourism and Hospitality Association for their contribution in the conversation towards fighting crime on the island of Tobago. Guys, we're going to take a quick break and we'll be back right after this.
As the passion start to rise, the energy fill the skies. I say thanks for favor to wake up and hear my neighbor. 60,000 people strong.
Everybody only worrying. Never ever worry. Don't mind how things looking hard. I tell them never ever worry. If your life can't get damaged bad. I tell them never ever worry. What I'm saying is true. So just consider Tatil is always right here for you. I tell them never ever worry. Don't mind if life make you sad. I tell them never ever worry. If your house get flooded out real bad. I tell them never ever worry. What I'm saying is true. So just consider Tatil is always right here for you. I tell them never ever worry. If sickness catch you off guard. I tell them never ever worry. If times fall on you real hard. I tell them never ever worry. What I'm saying is true. So just consider Tatil will always be here for you.
Never worry about a thing. Tatil, where people are people. You know what I mean.
If you see or know about a crime, report a crime safely and anonymously. Call 800-TIPS. Help stop crime. You can play your part safely and anonymously. Report a crime. Earn a reward. Call 800-TIPS. Help stop crime. Be a hero. Champion. Fearless citizen. Be a crime stopper safely and anonymously. Call 800-TIPS. Help stop crime.
This is how it's gonna go. They better look up and look, 'cause this is your show. And everybody's gonna know. Say it to them once again. They better look up and look. This is your show. And everybody's gonna know. That's how it's gonna go. They better look up below, 'cause this is your show.
Tobago Glass Supplies has been a leading name for over 37 years in the glass and aluminum market in Tobago. We provide an extensive range of high-quality, innovative aluminum and glass products for commercial and residential use. Competitive prices with superior and professional services by committed employees who are guided by rigid quality standards. Tobago Glass Supplies specializes in the manufacture and installation of glass and aluminum products that are essential to today's homeowners and the business environment. We are engaged in marketing, sales, and installation of a variety of products. These ranges from windows and doors to necessities such as mirrors for homes and vehicles, designed and manufactured in-house or imported.
October will never be better with Tobago Carnival fever. Book your passage and come on over.
Yeah. Hey. Tobago updates.
Good morning again, and welcome back to Tobago Updates, guys. This is GMT, and this morning, as we continue with our conversation, we're talking about what's happening with the school on the hill, that's Signal Hill Secondary School, if you were wondering. And this morning, I have the pleasure of sitting with Mrs. Maureen Bob Guy, who is the planning committee member, as well as Cheryl Douglas, who is also a planning committee member. And this morning, we're talking about the class of 1981.
Yeah.
And you guys are having a reunion that's happening pretty soon. Ladies, tell us about this reunion that's happening. When is it happening? And who all is invited? Who all is going to be there?
All right. Yeah. All right. Well, first of all, thank you and good morning. Thank you for the opportunity to be here this morning with a former classmate and friend, Maureen Bob, and to give a big shout out to the Signal Hill Senior Comprehensive, as it was known in our time, class of 1981. We are having, is this what, 41 years since graduation. And so yes, we'll be having a weekend of events starting on Friday, that's tomorrow night. So we start with the meet and greet, which is going to be at Fairways, and that starts at 6, am I right? Yeah, so we start at 6 for the meet and greet. And then on Saturday, we have our dinner event, and that is going to be at Apex Bar and Grill, starting from, I think that is 7:30. Maureen, correct me if I'm wrong. Good. And that is followed on a Sunday morning. We'll have a church service, and that is where we hope to have the opportunity to meet again with classmates and, very importantly, teachers who would have played a large role in shaping us, our future and the people that we would have become. And then that church service is at 9 o'clock, 9:30, I'm sorry. So later in the day, we then have the Beachline Family Day, and that's going to be at Buku Bay from 2:30 onwards. So I think, as Maureen, you have said before, there is something for everyone, and we are really looking forward to seeing people who we haven't seen some in 40 odd years, you know. So come on out, guys, come on out.
Right. And tell us about the call for members of that class to really engage and be a part of it. And how have you guys really found a way to reach these persons?
Hi, good morning again, and thank you for having me. This event has been 3 years in planning. Yes, and COVID would have put a hold on it. But last year, October, we started again. And we have created Facebook connections. We have created YouTube connections, face-to-face. This is our second interview in marshalling the class to come on board. Some persons would have been extending themselves to reach out to everybody to come on board. And there is something for everyone. As Cheryl said, there are paid events, there are unpaid events. And for those who are not able to come to the paid events, they have the church Thanksgiving service and the beach line to attend. And it's going to be great. The excitement is building. And we would be at the Esplanade in a little while for the whole day distributing our tokens. We have tokens for all those who would have paid. And we are having the session starting there. We have been having some great fun yesterday and today. And we are saying to those folks who didn't come down yesterday to come down today. There is something for everybody. Some person have transformed. People come in, I saw a mate staring me yesterday, and I didn't make him out until he called my name and identified himself. So I'm saying some persons remain the same, and some people have changed completely. So come on out, come on out, come on out, people. Come on out. We're going to have a time. And I must also emphasize that church service is a Thanksgiving service. Persons would have gone through challenges, and we must give God thanks. We have a lot of mates who are about 20-something of our mates are on the other side, and we are still here. So we must come and give God praise and give him thanks. Don't let anything keep you back. Don't let money keep you back. Call up a friend. We can do some carpooling to get there. We must give God praise and thanks for being here. And come see your mate. Come see your mates. Don't make any excuses for not coming. Yes?
Right, excellent. And tell us a bit about those nights, that meet and greet, as well as that night at Apex. What can people look forward to when they purchase their packages?
Well, I think the energy, the excitement, just the whole synergy of coming back together after 40 years, that is going to take on a life of its own. So as far as the meet and greet is concerned, there is no rigid planning for it. It's an opportunity. I think what people want, the feedback I have gotten so far, what people want more than anything else is the opportunity to see people they went to school with again, to catch up, to old talk.
And reconnect.
To reconnect, you know.
So is that going to be sort of like a cocktail style event?
Yes, there's going to be drinks and eats included.
Okay.
In that, definitely. Yeah. So, you know, and as Maureen said, the energy behind this is palpable.
Yes.
That is a word somebody used. Because we have mates who are flying in from far and wide. And sorry?
They have been coming in.
They are. So lots of excitement around this. And we are looking forward to seeing everybody. So do come on out, guys. It's going to be awesome.
At the dinner, it would be a buffet style, still mingling, and there are some surprises that we don't want to let out the bag. We want them to come and taste and see that the event, if you miss it, you will really beat up on yourself and say, I'm sorry I missed this thing. Yes?
Right, excellent. And so before we wrap up, Mrs. Bob Guy, tell us about the date and the time once more.
Okay. So the event starts tomorrow night, Friday night at 6 o'clock at Fairways. Don't be late, otherwise you will miss out on something. On Saturday night, it's our dinner from 7:30. Semi-formal, so that you will have the whole night to dance away. If you want to dance up to 2 a.m. in the morning, we begin at 7:30. 9:30 in the morning, it's Thanksgiving and praise service down at the Lambwood Church of God at Pastor Michael's church. He's one of our former colleague. He has opened the church for us to come and give God praise and thanks. And we climax at 2:30 down at Buku Bay. Eats, camaraderie. If you need to go on the reef, you are free to do so. Go to Nylon Pool and take in a soak. You can do that as well. But come on out, bring your beach chair if you have one. Yeah. Bring whatever you have and come and let us have a good time.
Right, and I see Auntie Pearl's number is on the screen there, as well as a contact in person, as well as yourself. Guys, the numbers are there on the screen. We have Lyndon Andrews as well. You can contact if you need more information, if you need to get one of those last minute packages.
Yes.
Guys, be sure to be a part. If you know your parents was a part of the 1981 year group, tell them, because maybe they're not tuning into Tobago updates right now, but let them know that their colleagues were on and they were talking about it. You might know one of these names on the screen and you might be like, Mom, Dad, didn't you go to school with this person?
Yes.
And that might just ring a bell. So guys, we thank you so much for being here this morning.
Thank you again for having
us.
us.
We wish you all the best with your 1981 reunion. And we hope that it goes as good as the hype is for the event, right?
It's going to be even better than the hype.
All right, excellent. So guys, we thank you. And again, thank you for choosing Tobago Updates. It's always our pleasure to let the people of Tobago know what is happening on the island. Guys, thank you so much for joining us. Thank you for liking. Thank you for sharing and commenting. And thank you for making Tobago Updates the #1 broadcast station on the island of Tobago, guys. See you soon. Have a great day.
Thank you.
I say, thanks for favor to wake up and hear me